Hi Cancer, welcome to your June 2016 General Horoscope. It's Rena here. I am doing your reading over again because I think I recorded it and saved it in too high of a definition and the file is too long, so I'm just doing it over again and I'm going to try to condense it a little bit. I'm combining the transits of June and I'm going to briefly go over them while I shuffle these cards. There's going to be some spiritual energy available for you at the beginning of the month because the sun will be in Gemini until the 20th. And so that will be your 12th house. And you have a new moon in this house on the 4th of the month. So this is really a time to kind of get rid of those skeletons in the closet that kind of maybe have been keeping you down in some way. Maybe they're hidden anxieties because you've had buried issues that you haven't wanted to deal with. Sometimes that comes out anyway, whether you want to or not. But also, it's just a great time to think of ways that you want to enhance or begin a spiritual practice. And, you know, there's so many different types that are suitable for the type of person you are that you may explore. And, you know, even if you don't like something, you might try something else that you like better. Some people like Hatha Yoga. Some people like Tai Chi. Some people like Vipassana. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, where they have those retreats and I think they're free actually, so you can check that out. I know some people have done those. They're 10 days long. I'm kind of afraid to do something like that because I'm one of those people that, you know, is always trying to amuse myself. And I'm probably the one that needs it the most, you know, because you have to learn how to just be and not constantly be reaching for a distraction to while away the hours. And this Vipassana retreat is a way to do that because it's a silent retreat, 10 days long, no electronics and stuff like that. So that might be something that appeals to some of you. And because it is free, it's doable for a wide variety of people. But it is pretty intense, and I'm sure that it might be very challenging. But in any case, so you're going to start the month maybe feeling a little bit tired still. When the sun goes into your sign on the summer solstice, I think that will be the turning point in the year, and that's when you start to feel more like yourself. And so you can look to that period of time if you have been low energy of, you know, when you go into your solar return or when the sun crosses over your rising sign of Cancer. That may be the turning point and you'll feel a lot better. So in terms of Venus, gotta get this out. Venus starts the month in your 12th house. So there is this concentration of energy in your 12th house. Venus starts the month in your 12th house with the sun, and it goes into your first house or your own sign on the 17th of June. And so with Venus in your own sign in the first house, I feel like a lot of you will be feeling a lot more energetic. And so with Venus in your own sign, it's such a great time to promote yourself, whether it's for business or for pleasure. And so with Venus in your own sign, it's really... And so with Venus in your own sign, it's a great time to promote yourself, whether for business or for pleasure. You can really make a great impression on other people, and you can be your own best PR person. But you know, it's very interesting when Venus is in that 12th house, who knows, maybe you will meet somebody who is a spiritual type of a partner, a soulmate. Maybe you will meet somebody with whom you have had connections with in past lives, because the 12th house can rule that as well. Just remember that even if it feels very familiar to you, it may not be a healthy relationship. It just may be like going from lifetime to lifetime with destructive tendencies within a relationship. So be able to discern the difference between, this spiritual connection and something that is good for you. And in addition to that 12th house energy, there is another concentration of energy for you in the month of June, Cancer. And this is in your 6th house. I will say that Mars is actually now retrograding into your 5th house, because in the sign of Scorpio, it's actually your 5th house. It was in your 6th house of health. In the retrograde motion, it lost degrees. It went back into Scorpio. And so it may bring up Mars in the 5th house, an old argument that you have had perhaps with your children. It could be with a partner who you were dating, but you weren't really like serious, you weren't committed, but somebody that you were on again, off again with. You may, connect with them again and have some kind of review. Because actually, when Mars is retrograding, it isn't necessarily a good time to take charge on an issue. I always hesitate to say these things, even though, we are taught that Mars retrograde is a time of review rather than, starting something new, because I do feel that our own intuition should be always given because I always feel that our intuition comes before anything else, and I would never want to promote inactivity in favor of some, honoring some transit. So always listen to your gut. But because Mars can be contentious, you may reopen an old wound, okay? Or an old conflict. And rather than getting into the fray, which may be actually required when Mars is direct through a sign or house, you may be required to attend to certain issues of that house and actually be fearless and actually be a warrior in some regard. When it's in retrograde motion, it's more of kind of taking a step back and looking at the conflict from a detached point of view and seeing how it has played out and whether it's really working for you. So that would apply to any kind of clash with a child of yours, or with some sort of issue regarding your home business or some kind of creative project. If you've had some kind of problems in this area, you may see it kind of creep into the picture again. But this is an opportunity for you to take a different approach. And this would be a lot less aggressive. This would be a lot more cooperative and willing to listen to other people and things like that. Also, when Mars goes direct, it will eventually go back into Sagittarius, and that will go back to the period, before it retrograded, and that will be on the 21st of August, I want to say, around there. And so then it will go back into your 6th house of health and your daily schedule. And when it does this, you will have to kind of really pay attention to your health more. As I said, there is this concentration of energy in the 6th house. Mars is temporarily away from it, but you still have Saturn in your 6th house. It is also in retrograde motion, but it's going to stay in Sagittarius. And then you have a full moon in this house, which is occurring on that summer solstice on the 20th. And that will be at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. This is the second full moon in Sagittarius in consecutive months. The first was at 1 degree, and now it's going to be 29 degrees. So the first and the last degree. And it is possible that some of you Cancerians were made aware of a health issue at the last full moon, and maybe you've been taking some sort of action on this, and it will resolve itself on this full moon. And that would be very nice. This may have to do with your workplace. Maybe you found something out about your office, and it took a few weeks to get everything in order. Maybe you applied for a transfer, whatever, and now that's going to be resolved. So that should be good for you as well. And let me see. Well, I didn't say that Mercury is in Taurus until the 12th of the month. So it's actually in your hopes and wishes sector in the 11th house. So this is really good for any kind of ideas, brainstorming you have about, what you want to attract to you, especially as you go into your new solar cycle, That's a great time to set intentions. But beforehand, you may be coming up with the things that you even want to do in the first place. So, definitely take advantage of that transit. And then when it goes into your 12th house, it can provide intuitive hits. I mean, you can have very vivid dreams. You can really connect deeply with Source because it will transcend just the intellectual level. It will be much more of a spiritual transit, and so that will be really advantageous in that sense. And I just realized that I have been doing this blank screen, which I should have been at least putting out the cards. It's hard for me to talk and do that at the same time, so I'm just going to start right now. I gotta remember that these are not, love readings. These are general readings. And then I put the card at the bottom of the deck. It's the Ace of Wands. So because the outcome is something that is not necessarily what we would like to leave the reading with, because it is kind of a dramatic card, I did pick the card from the bottom of the deck to kind of clarify things. And it's very interesting, actually, how that all ties in. Okay, so for the heart of the matter, we have the Emperor card. And this is supposed to be an Aries individual, okay? And I think somebody just wrote to me and said that she was with... Oh, no, she was... I do get people that are Cancers talking about being with Aries. I do. It's funny, I don't see the Emperor as an Aries at all. The Aries is a cardinal sign, and I can understand why they would be, seen as somebody in a position of authority, because cardinal signs tend to roll that way. And actually, you're a cardinal sign too, and so is Libra. And so is Capricorn. And I really kind of connect the Emperor with Capricorn, to be honest with you. Because the Emperor is very rigid and very black and white, law and order. So it can literally mean somebody who's a police officer or a cop, well, I said a cop, or a military person, somebody in criminal justice, or somebody who is just dealing with things on that level where it's right and wrong and there is no gray area. And this kind of mentality makes this person feel safe, because the gray area of life is a little bit too uncertain. And so it's very hard to reason with somebody like that, because they cannot wrap their brain around all of the little inconvenient truths about life, that make people who they are. When somebody is an abuser, chances are they were abused growing up. So where do we finally lay the blame? So it's a person who may be kind of condemning of others too, judgmental. So I always associate it with Capricorn, because Capricorn tends to be very much into that authority mindset, but also very rigid sometimes. I'm broad brushing. Whereas Aries, I think, is rather liberal. Even though they like to be in control, I feel that they are much more generous about how they view other people, whereas I feel like a sign like Capricorn is more traditional, so they believe in there's a right and there's a wrong, and that's the end of it. And so let's say that maybe you're dealing with an Aries, maybe you're dealing with a Capricorn, somebody who's got that mindset, but it could be somebody either in law enforcement, maybe they're not even of a particular sign, or it could be somebody who is a judge, or somebody who has to judge right and wrong. Okay, and this is permeating the month of June for you. In the recent past, we get the Four of Pentacles. So with this combination, I feel like it could go. Well, let me show the higher perspective is the Death card. So the Emperor and the Death card are both major arcana. So I do feel it's a very eventful type of a time, although those are the only two major arcanas that I got, but still showing the overall energy. So I feel that some people are going through a divorce. Okay, it's over. That's what the Death card represents. And actually this card is about holding on to your money. So if you're splitting up resources, you're, fighting for what's yours. If you have children, you want them to have a solid foundation. So you're, working things out with your ex. For some people, it could be that this is a new person on the scene, and the Death card is representing the old scenario. And so you are in a position where, maybe this is a Capricorn. Maybe this describes this person, because it is an earth energy with the pentacles. So maybe that guy is a Capricorn. And actually Capricorn is a very good sign for you, even though it forms an opposition with your sun or your rising sign. It still is like two peas in a pod, because you guys are complementary signs. So if you are with a Capricorn, you're going to be on the same page. And this card is all about handling your money very well, but also wanting to build on what you have. The Four is the building energy. It's the structure. The energy that is kind of below the surface, or maybe that you're not aware of, it could be crossing you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, is the Four of Swords. So maybe you need to really recharge. Maybe you're really pushing yourself, especially if you, as a Four of Pentacles, if that's you working very hard as well to earn the money. You may be neglecting to take care of yourself. And again, with that energy in the 6th house, those 2 full moons and blah, 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 maybe it's saying that you need to do it, but you haven't been doing it. You need to take a break. Maybe you need to take a little vacation. The 4 of Swords is about recharging your batteries, but I do feel that it means going by yourself. In other words, it's not just having a vacation with other people and just chatting it up. It's really about kind of self-reflection and just taking a breather. And by the way, you know, I didn't kind of go into the top cards if you're dealing with a work situation. You know, you might have a position in a company that deals with something. Maybe you're in criminal justice, or you're working in just the legal arena, and this is a job that you've recently gotten. It's not the Ace of Pentacles, but the 4 of Pentacles. Maybe you've gotten a what do you call that? I was going to say a raise, but I mean a promotion. And so you're working very diligently to build your nest egg. And the higher message is that if you've been having any kind of, I don't know, like difficulties with your job search, like maybe you just got a job in the not too distant past, and the Death card is just talking about that transition into a new phase, into a good phase where you're very productive and you're working. Or it could mean that you're having to watch your finances because you are not going to be able to stay in that company. It could go either way. It all depends on your own particular circumstances, obviously, because this is a general reading. But I don't like to just, interpret the Death card as like, okay, you're out of there. You know, that's, the company is over with. It could be just, a death of an illusion. Maybe you had an illusion of your own inadequacies. Maybe you had maybe you thought that you couldn't ever have the kind of job that would be financially secure. And now you realize you can. But it could be that you have a difficult boss and that you're going to have to leave that situation at some point. Or it's going to leave you, whether you like it or not. It could be any of those things. But anyway, the energy that's really good at this time for you is the King of Cups. So this could be a literal person. King could be a boss who is very sympathetic to you. See the contrast between these 2 men. One of them is very rigid and probably, he's holding a sword. So he's probably, you think of the swords, and they're all about conflict. And this is about somebody who's very peaceful and understanding, actually. So in the business sense, this could be somebody who's a mentor or an actual boss who is of assistance to you. And if you're new on the job, he can help you learn the ropes. If this is in a and it could also relate to your father, perhaps. Maybe your father will be very understanding of your predicament, and he will be helpful for you as well. You'll be able to lean on him emotionally. For people that are in love relationships, it could be that you're breaking up with this person, and this guy is on the scene. He may not have asked you out, but he's there. And maybe you've been kind of hung up on the Emperor, even though it's a dead end. And the King of Cups, it could be a water sign man, It could be either a Cancer or a Scorpio or Pisces man, or somebody who has that prominent in his chart. The advice is the Ace of Swords. So this is about taking bold action based upon seeing things very clearly. Okay, as a water sign, you have very strong sympathies, and so sometimes it's very hard for you to make a move because you can feel empathically that it might affect somebody else's life. And that, emotional tug can prevent you from really seeing things in a detached way. So this is about doing that because it helps you to achieve your goals. Because really, when you think about it, when you're very caring towards other people, sometimes you might not be caring towards yourself, and you're a person too, so you have to always fit yourself into the equation. It's not about being narcissistic. It's about knowing that when you're happy, that's when you can be of best. It's knowing that when you're feeling fulfilled and happy, that's when you will be your best for other people. The outcome, as I had, initially had it, was the Ten of Swords. So this is about some situation coming to an end, but the worst being over. So maybe there have been vestiges. Maybe you were with somebody. Maybe you were with this person, and it was back and forth, and finally, the death, and it wasn't you. You didn't say goodbye. Something happened that made it happen, whether you wanted it or not. So the outcome is really just accepting the end. And if the person betrayed you, because a lot of times, it's stabbed in the back type of energy, that's the hardest time. That's the hardest thing to forgive, because we feel like we were wronged. And that's the test. If you can forgive that and just see the other person as trying to get their needs met, trying to be happy in whatever way it took. And even if it led to you being somehow betrayed, at least if you can shift it and wish them the best, maybe you don't feel it 100%, it can release that connection to that person so that you can truly move on. Because this card is saying the worst is over. So for people who are still kind of maybe secretly hoping that something will change around, these two cards make it pretty clear. Now, this could be a work situation too, that somehow you were betrayed. But perhaps this person that's the King of Cups maybe he will tell you about this. If he knows that you're about to get screwed by people at your company, he will be the person to let you know, to soften the blow. But of course, especially if you have been there a long time, it's going to still hurt. So I don't know how this is going to play out for you, but that was just what I got for the outcome. But I picked the card from the bottom of the deck just to end on a better note than that, and I got the Ace of Wands. So we have the 10, which means the end of a cycle. And then we get the Ace, the beginning of a new cycle, and it's the Wands energy. So it's that passion. Maybe you didn't have the passion. And sometimes when people are kind of not feeling their job, the job suddenly goes away from them. And they may react and say, oh my God, but this is a loss. Even though I didn't really like my job, it's still a loss. But it's making way for something better. Because when you're in that state of inertia, where you don't like what you're doing, but you don't have the guts to go off on your own, sometimes life will happen to you in the form of that Death card, where there's nothing you can do to prevent change from occurring, and you have to just roll with it. And this card is about not only rolling with it, but just feeling that sense of passion that comes with a new phase in one's life. This can also indicate a new love affair. It relates to the fire signs. Maybe it involves somebody who's an Aries or a Leo or a Sagittarian individual. But yeah, so it should be quite interesting for you. It's like never a dull moment, I suppose. But I hope you enjoyed this, Cancer. If you would like a personal reading using your astrological chart along with the tarot, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a wonderful June. Bye.